Alright, let's dive in. 200 years ago, spiritual energy returned to Earth. It wasn't a gift. Catastrophe and war stripped humanity of the sea and the moon. Raging demons became humanity's nightmare, and now a massive explosion rocks Jinan. In the streets, people are screaming, running for their lives as they see it. A giant lava demon, rampaging and destroying absolutely everything in its path. The police arrive, immediately moving to take control of the chaotic scene. Squad leader Wei starts barking orders, seal the area and rescue all civilians. Their main job is to support the Magic Defense Department and help suppress the demon. He then calls our protagonist, Ren, reminding him they are on an active mission. He tells Ren to put some effort in, but just gets a tired yawn in response. As Ren gets out of the truck, another officer starts in on him. "What, did you pull another all-nighter working at the internet cafe again?" Ren just tells him to shut up, but another teammate chimes in. "You were the top scorer on the college entrance exam, and yet you're working. Nearly 10 part-time jobs by yourself. Aren't you tired?" he asks. Ren scoffs. "You think I want to do this? Are you going to give me money?" Before a fight can break out, Wei roars for everyone to shut up. He reminds them that if they perform well and pass their trainee period, they'll become regular members and get a chance to be injected with the Enlightenment gene medicine. He stresses that every single mission's performance matters. Everything is recorded on their permanent assessment, meaning the more people they save, the better their chance of becoming a regular member. But Ren just says flatly he isn't saving people to become a regular. Wei asks if he wants to be a hero. Now pay attention, because Ren's answer is pure gold. He doesn't give a heroic speech, he quotes the city's rulebook. Article 13, Chapter 2, anyone who rescues a person gets 200 yuan, no upper limit. He even points out that the clause applies to interns. Wei smacks him. Furious, he yells at Ren not to risk his life for a measly 200 yuan. Wei then reminds everyone that saving others starts with protecting yourself first. Never face a demon directly, he warns them, unless you want to die. He tells them hunting demons is the direct responsibility of the Magic Defense Team. Their job is to provide support, not interfere. The team confirms the order. They get back to work, but then a panicked voice cuts through the noise. "Leader Wei, we have a situation." A woman stumbles out of the smoke, screaming. She falls to her knees in tears, begging them desperately to save her child. "He's still inside the building, and you and I know this just got terrifyingly real." Ren yells at Wei, demanding to know what Magic Defense is even doing. He points out a level 3 lava demon is on a rampage, totally unchecked. Wei calmly explains all their main troops are deployed outside the city walls. They're on a cleansing mission, and support won't be arriving for a while. Right now, there's only a single girl from the Demon Hunting Academy fighting it. A prodigy rumored to be favored by God himself. Wei grabs his helmet. "I'm going in to rescue them," he shouts, ordering his team to provide support. As he moves, the mother screams that her son is on the 10th floor. But Wei freezes in shock. Ren is already gone, sprinting straight into the inferno. At the entrance, he screams at Rainier, asking if he has a death wish. The demon isn't even gone yet, it's absolute chaos in there. But Rainier just keeps running, yelling back not to forget his 201. Wei is just frozen in shock, wondering if this guy is serious. He snaps out of it, yelling at the others to cool down the building. Inside, Rainier bolts up the stairs and kicks a door clean open. He shields himself, thinking that earning 201 is definitely not easy. He sees the fire spreading everywhere, but suddenly stops dead in his tracks. A massive blast erupts right in front of him, vaporizing the upper floor. The entire building shakes as he ducks just in time to avoid the falling debris. He looks up thinking it was a soundwave attack, and that's when he sees it. A girl's locked in a brutal fight with the lava demons. "You heard me." He can't believe a monster like that can launch soundwave attacks. He figures she must be from the Demon Hunting Academy, confirming that genetic warriors are on a whole other level. They can actually fight these things head-on. Then he hears a child crying. Screaming for his mother in pure terror, Rainier instantly sprints towards the sound. A few moments later, he finds the kid, coughing hard from all the smoke. He quickly reaches the boy, telling him to hang on, that he's here to save him. Just then, the ceiling above them starts to give way. Rainier shouts for the kid to be careful and snatches him up just in the nick of time. The boy keeps coughing, so Rainier pulls off his own mask. He puts it on the kid and tells him to hold on tight. Outside, the other trainees are desperately trying to control the flames. And then Rainier walks out, carrying the kid safely in his arms. Everyone is stunned but amazed he actually made it out alive. They start cheering, even joking about him saving their summer homework. But before he can even crack a smile, a massive force erupts from the building. The demon bursts out, still clashing with the girl from before. She leaps high into the air, driving her sword down, but the demon dodges. It takes off at full speed, unleashing a devastating sound wave. The blast slams into the building, cracking the entire foundation. The girl immediately sees the danger, but it's already too late to stop it. The demon strikes again, and the building's lower floors just explode. The whole structure begins to collapse, leaving everyone completely horrified. All eyes turn to Rainier, still standing right by the entrance. He looks back, and in that single moment, you and I both know what's coming. Yelling Wei's name, he throws the child towards the squad. Wei makes the catch, screaming Rainier's name in pure panic, but it's too late. The building comes crashing down, burying him under tons of rubble. Afterwards, they all gather around, calling his name through their tears. A steel bar had pierced straight through his chest. In his final moments, he thinks, maybe, just maybe, he really had become a good person after all. He wonders if he can still get that 201, even if he's dead. Then he laments that he won't even be able to spend it. The girl appears over him, apologizing. And as he dies, he wonders if she's an angel. Let that sink in. All Julie could offer was pity, repeating her apology as his world went dark. His vision blurs, and he catches an accidental glimpse of her underwear, wondering, who on earth wears piggy-themed underwear under a pleated skirt? In that moment, a fundamental trust in the world just shattered. The pink pig is kinda cute, he muttered. She was instantly furious, calling him a pervert for his comment. But her anger turned to sheer panic when she realized he was fading fast. She's screaming at him, trying to keep him awake, but he can't hold on any longer. Rainier wondered if this was death. A strange sense of relief washed over him. Finally, he could get some rest. It felt comfortable, almost peaceful. But then his mind drifted to his Aunt Anning. What would happen to her? And Yao Yao, how long could she possibly survive with the demon scar disease? With those thoughts, he knew he couldn't die. He had to live no matter what. He forced himself to stand, fighting against the crushing darkness of death. Now here's where it gets brutal. At the hospital, the doctor's report is grim. His left arm needs amputation, his lower spine completely shattered. His organs ruptured from massive internal bleeding. Multiple bones were dislodged. Survival was impossible. At 23:44, his heart finally stopped. Brain death confirmed. The medical team checked his vitals one last time. Nothing, no signs of life. His friends just break down, sobbing. With no other choice, they decide to cremate his body, not knowing the truth. His consciousness, it's still there, trapped in a silent, broken shell. He's screaming on the inside, insisting he can still be saved. But his voice is only heard within his pendant as his body is wheeled away. He keeps calling out for help, but no one can hear his desperate pleas. Helpless, he watches as they load him into the cremation machine. Flames erupt around him. He can't believe it. Are they really burning him alive? As his tears fall, they form a shimmering surface of water beneath him. Suddenly, he's standing on it, looking around, completely lost. Where is he? Is this what the afterlife really looks like? Then his pendant appears, floating right in front of his face. He knows it instantly. He'd found it 10 years ago, in the ruins of the Jin Chang demonic disaster. He kept it all this time, just to remember his family by. But what if this pendant wasn't just a keepsake? What if it was a real treasure? Okay, I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is where everything changes. As his fingers brush against it, a brilliant light erupts and the pendant falls. He bends down to look, but is stunned when the water surges into a massive purple tree. He just stares at it, bewildered. A tree here, and why does it look so weird? Cautiously, he reaches out, wondering if this thing is demonic. The second his hand makes contact, a powerful force explodes from the tree. He panics, demanding to know what's happening to him. A single flame appears and a voice echoes through the void. The demon contract is complete. The contracted demon is identified. The demon of flames, and you're not gonna believe the price. The cost of demonization is making other people cry. Shocked, he questions what that even means, but the voice offers no more answers. With the price paid, the process began. A demonization contract was now active. And while that happened outside, Wei put out his cigarette and asked a question. He solemnly confirmed if Renia's body had been completely burned to ash. However, one of his men hesitated. Something was wrong, the body just wasn't burning right. Confused, Wei turned back, demanding to know what was going on. But before he could, the flames inside the machine surged, and a bizarre sound echoed out. Pay attention, because what you hear next is a human heartbeat. Then the machine explodes. In a blast of pure terror, Wei begged the Ghost King to spare his pathetic life. But from the heart of the flames, a voice spoke. It was Renia asking for a doctor. Emerging from the smoldering wreckage, Renia stood there, completely transformed. He let out a grin, saying that this time he believed he could really be saved. And then he laughed, the very next day at the Hone Biological Building. Inside the lab, Ren woke up, back in his original body, and absolute panic set in. He remembered the feeling of burning alive, questioning what was even happening. Had he actually died? A woman's voice suddenly cut through his thoughts. She told him she was almost finished, and that he really shouldn't move around. Confused, he tried to ask who she was, but his words caught in his throat. He noticed her impressive chest right in front of him, and the sound of machines on his arm. The woman told him not to panic, explaining that he had just barely reclaimed his life. Trying to stay calm, he asked again, who was she and where in the world was he? She introduced herself as Niu Yan, the person in charge of this entire laboratory. The Hone Biological Laboratory, to be exact, and it was their Xiaoli who brought him in. She informed him that the procedure was finally complete. She then encouraged him to go on and test it out for himself, as Ren sat up. Okay, you and I both see it. One of his arms has been replaced with a full-on robotic limb. Yan explained that it's the latest all-purpose robotic arm. And get this, the previous owner used this exact model during an explosion experiment. With 10 pounds of TNT, the owner was vaporized, but the arm was left completely unscratched. Stunned, Renia asked who this Xiaoli was and why they would ever help him. Yan revealed that Xiaoli is none other than Zhang Julie, the third young miss of the Hin group. Realizing he has no idea who that is, she gets a little curious. She asks what their relationship is, and in that moment, Renia remembers. Zhang Julie, the girl rumored to be favored by the gods, Yan says he's extremely lucky. Not only did he somehow survive, but he also successfully unlocked his gene lock. And awakened a flame ability. He's shocked, asking how that's even possible. After all, he missed the window for a gene awakening a long time ago. Yan clarified that he's already in the awakened stage, to maintain his body now. He needs to understand the core principles of what it means to be a genetic warrior. Still totally lost, he asks her what those principles are, and she begins to explain. Alright, this is where the story's lore gets wild, so let's break it down. 200 years ago, 12 spiritual springs appeared on Earth, changing everything. The animals and plants absorbed that energy, evolving into powerful spirits. They gradually took over the world, attempting to wipe humanity out completely. In response, human scientists unlocked the genetic lock and created a gene-opening drug. When injected into ordinary people, their own genes would awaken, letting them absorb that same energy and fight demonic spirits. But let's be real, a power-up like this never comes free. When humans unlocked their genetic potential, they also signed up for a terrible price. Renji, now hooked, asks what kind of price. She gives him one chilling example. Demon Scar Disease. The name hits him like a truck. That's what his little sister has. Yan explains that if someone with a demonic contract can't pay the price, these magical marks begin to crawl across their skin. As the disease gets worse, the pain is unbearable, like having your flesh and bones ripped apart. And right here, a horrible thought clicks into place. Is it possible Yao Yao's sickness came from her being a demonic contractor? He has to know and asks how to cure it. Yan looks at him with pity. At their current medical level, there's no cure. No cure in the human world anyway, but she says there might be another way. A way to get it under permanent control inside the Dunnan demonic realm. Shocked, he demands to know if she's serious. She explains the realm is flooded with demonic energy. It literally nourishes demonic contractors. If a cure exists anywhere, it's there. And just like that, a flicker of hope, a chance to save Yao Yao, a reason to fight. Yan tells him she's already taught him the basics of his new arm. Now it's up to him to go home and master it, but she gives him one warning. If he breaks it, he's coming right back to her for repairs. He waves goodbye, promising he won't be any trouble. A moment later, he's walking down the street. He stares at the robotic arm. It's incredible. Seriously, if you didn't look closely, you would never guess it was a prosthetic. He pieces it together. He wakes up with a crazy robot arm and he's been gone for days. That means his Aunt Anning and Yao Yao must be worried sick. Right, first things first, he needs to get home. He rolls his shoulder. Ouch, the anesthetic is definitely wearing off. A few minutes later, he's there. He arrives at their shop to find a crowd gathered outside, and it's not for business. He wonders what the hell is going on. Why are all these people blocking the door? As he gets closer, he hears a fat man's voice, asking if they pick and choose customers. The creep is harassing his aunt and his little sister. He offers them 300 yuan just to wash one pair of underwear, asks if that's not enough. Anning apologizes but firmly tells him they don't offer that kind of service. The fat man just laughs, shouting that with an attitude like that. It's no wonder their little business can't even afford to pay the rent. Then a blonde punk chimes in, telling them if business is bad, they should just clear out because their boss, Brother Wang. He points to the fat man, wants this exact spot. Yao Yao has had enough. She grabs a broom. Furious, she screams at them to get out, but Wang just snatches the broom from her. He smirks, saying she's got some fire in her, but it's no fun hitting someone with a thin stick. Then the scumbag grabs Yao Yao right out of her wheelchair. He leans in, telling her he has something much bigger for her to play with. He says he wouldn't mind letting her use it. Yao Yao screams at him, calling him shameless. One of Wang's goons starts to run his mouth, asking who they think they are. When a fist smashes into his face, slamming the thug straight into the ground. Wang's crew whips around in shock, only to see Renji standing there, robotic arm ready to go. Alright, let's dive right in as this blonde punk completely ignores the warning. He throws a punch, screaming that our guy is asking for it. But gets instantly decked. Wang yells out, asking who this new kid is. Our hero just tells him he heard every single threat Wang just made. So Wang pulls a knife, yelling that he shouldn't interfere with his business. He threatens to kill him, but Renji just snatches Wang up by the chin. Shattering a few teeth, he roars at them to get lost. Wang immediately drops his knife. Renji then snatches his little sister, Yao Yao, away from the thug. And yeah, he's still holding Wang off the ground with one hand. Wang gasps for air. Yao Yao, worried, tells him to stop. Renji realizes another second. And he would actually kill Wang, so he drops him to the pavement. He screams at the punks to get out of his sight, warning them. They won't be so lucky next time. The blonde thug rushes to help Wang. He tells him they need to run, but Wang just calls him a little brat and flees. He runs off, screaming that if he has any guts, he'll wait for them to return. Once they're gone, he looks at his arm, wondering if that white mist was the power of his emotions. Back inside, his aunt is thrilled he's okay. Yao Yao, though, asks him what's wrong, saying he's acting really weird. He just brushes it off, saying he's fine, but then Anning notices his hand. She asks what happened, but he just smiles, telling them that from now on, nobody will ever dare to bully their family again. Yao Yao then gets excited. She exclaims how awesome that punch was. He just agrees, saying he's starving. Anning dashes to the kitchen, telling them to rest up while she cooks. Later that night, he's in his apartment, trying to get some sleep. He's thinking about how much has changed in such a short time, especially his body. But then, get ready for this, a sudden sharp pain explodes inside of him. His heart feels like it's on fire, and he screams out in agony as the room burns. It turns a blood red. He's panicking with no idea what's happening. Then he falls into pure darkness, a completely suffocating feeling. That's when he sees it, the demonic tree with its floating flame. He recognizes it instantly, but then realizes he can't control his own body. It feels like something is being pulled right out of his very soul. The tree starts draining him, causing unbearable pain as he screams. Then it pours a dark, corrupting power back into his body. He's in agony, not realizing this is the third stage of his awakening. He remembers how the demon realm inside him corrupted his 5 spiritual springs. Okay, let's break this down. Demonic energy doesn't just exist anywhere. For a demon contractor to cultivate and level up, they have to rely on it. But what he never expected was that, in a world full of spiritual energy, his demon spirit could actually convert that energy into demonic fuel. He knew the only prerequisite for this was to consume a massive amount of emotional power. He also remembers what Yan once told him. The negative emotions of human beings are called the demon's original sin. And that's the true source for this kind of incredible power. But what happens when that emotional power runs out? That's when things get truly terrifying. Being a demon contractor isn't free, there's a price to be paid for that power. He has to constantly hunt for fresh emotional power or else. Otherwise, his willpower gets eaten away and he becomes a real demon. The next day, he's walking down the street, staring at his phone. He texts Yan, asking what happens when a demon demands its price. Playing it off like he's asking for a friend, of course. Yan's reply is grim. It's different for everyone. Some cases are wild. A demon might force its host to watch R-rated movies for 3 days straight. Or even worse, make them do bizarre things, like pull out their own fingernails. The price always seems connected to their own personal trauma. Reading this, a wave of frustration hits him. He realizes something awful. The demon already overdrew all the emotional power he'd stored up. Now he's in debt and needs to find more emotions to feed the beast. But as he's lost in thought, distracted, a girl appears out of nowhere. She bumps right into him, falling hard onto the pavement. He notices her short skirt, her long legs, and a twisted urge takes over. He wants to lift her skirt, take her underwear, and wear it like a mask. Snapping back to his senses, he's horrified by his own thoughts. The girl softly apologizes, saying she was in a hurry and didn't see him. But her apology just makes him snap. He suddenly gets furious and shouts at her. If an apology fixed everything, what would we need the police for? Then he demands to know her 3 measurements. All right, you and I are jumping right into the chaos as he orders her to take it off, and his words stun everyone. The girl freezes, totally confused, wondering what is wrong with this guy. Does he really expect her to pay him back with her body? She calmly stands up. She whispers that there are way too many people here, suggesting they go find a place. Somewhere private where she could do absolutely anything he wants. And in that instant, something inside him just snaps. He feels a crazy surge of energy. He realizes he's having those obscene thoughts again and starts slapping his own head to clear it. Is this the price he has to pay the demon for his power? Without another word, he just turns and bolts, running away at full speed. She's completely stunned by his reaction, yelling after him, asking why he's the one running away. Once he's gone, the girl answers a call. The voice on the other end calls her China and asks for a status update. They want to know if Ren's aura is definitely that of a brand new demon contractor. Now pay attention, because making sure no one's watching, she transforms into a demon. She replies that she let the kid get away, but she is absolutely certain. He's the one the tarot card was looking for. The voice gives her new orders. She needs to find a chance to test Ren's real abilities, but is warned. Do not let him get away again, or they won't get any useful data. She just tells them not to worry, confidently saying Ren can't escape her grasp. Later that night, we find Ren walking through the streets near the clubs. He's counting his money, and frustration builds as he sees he only has a few hundred. He made almost nothing from his part-time job, blaming his damn noisy emotional powers. They're messing with his focus. Just then, a woman slams right into him with a hug. Startled, he yells at her to let go, demanding to know why she just threw herself at him. But the woman acts like she knows him completely. She starts complaining about his terrible BB driving service, saying it's getting worse and worse. Totally confused, he explains she has the wrong guy because he's not a driver. She just waves him off. She says he's talking nonsense and asks if he's scared she won't pay him. Before he can answer, she shoves cash into his hand, telling him to take it and get her in the car. He quickly counts the money, and a thought hits him since the money's already here. There's no real reason he can't just play along. So, He helps the woman into the car, promising that he, the BB driver, will give her his best service. A little later, while driving, he casually mentions that she lives in a pretty remote spot, making it tough for her to go out drinking. Now here's where things start feeling really off. She ignores his comment, saying she feels incredibly hot and asks what they should do about it. She claims she's about to explode from the heat. He just tells her to buckle up. But then she suddenly reaches out and touches his leg, making him jump. Despite his surprise, he manages to push her hand away. Causing her to ask if he's always this cold, he just changes the subject. He questions if this is really the right direction, since the area is so deserted. Does her family actually live out here? She just points to the side and tells him to stop right there. He does as she says. He turns to look at her and asks why, but freezes when he sees her assets are way closer than before. She asks why he's so distracted. Out here in the wild mountains, it's just the two of them. But he tells her he's a serious professional, not some guy who unclogs sewers. She grabs his face, telling him that the more he acts like this, the more she wants to eat him. He mutters that this 200,000 won is not easy money. His blood runs cold when he sees the lady's eyes turn pitch black. He shoves her away with all his might, shouting that he's not a casual person. She was about to steal his first kiss. The lady gets pushed aside. He hears her stuttering an apology and looks over, only to be horrified. Okay, I know what you were thinking, but I promise you did not see this coming. The lady screams that she wants to devour him piece by piece, and then lunges at him with her split heads. He barely manages to grab her in time, screaming in disgust as her saliva drips all over his face. At the same time, another woman stands on a huge container by the car. It's Yua, and she says the monster has finally shown its true form. Yua leaps from the container, throwing a blade straight through the car's roof. It pierces right through, slicing half of the monster's heads clean off. He scrambles out of the car, cursing, trying to figure out what is going on. The blade inside the car glows, cracks, and then explodes, ripping the vehicle in half. Suddenly, Yua and three others appear behind him. In front of them, the demon with the split heads slowly starts to pull her face back together. She glares at Yua, sneering that the Magic Defense Department is meddling again. Yue calls out the lady, Chen Hu, telling her there's no escape tonight. But Hu just scoffs, asking when she ever said she was planning to run. Suddenly, our guy completely loses it, screaming about what is even going on. He yells that he's just a part-timer, and trust me, you and I can feel his panic. Yue just tells him to shut it and find somewhere safe to hide. One of her men suggests they should just bring both Hu and Ren back to HQ. Hu flashes a wicked smile, and in a blur someone attacks at high speed. Luckily, Ren ducks just in time, as Yue and her team leap away to dodge. That's when he hears a new voice, speaking directly to Yue. He taunts her, wondering what her section chief's face will look like when he finds out that his entire third squad was eaten alive by him. Yue knows that voice, it's Jean. Jean makes it clear they're only here for Ren today. He tells her team to get lost while they still can, but Yue stands her ground. They really are after Ren. Jean ignores her and addresses Ren directly. He offers him a spot in the Demon Claw organization, promising him anything he could ever want. Ren's totally confused, but Yue shouts at him not to believe a word. She warns him that once you join the Demon Claw, there is no turning back. Ren stands up and calmly says he'd like to ask a question. Now, get ready for this absolute curveball. Jean smirks, thinking he's won, and starts his sales pitch about how in this world, the Demon Claw is the only real home for demonic contractors. He claims the Magic Defense Department will just hunt them down like rats in the street. But Yue fires back, admitting that while the world has its prejudices against those with demonic contracts, the Magic Defense Department would never go after him because of his identity, as long as he uses his power correctly. Jean roars at her to stop talking nonsense, arguing that giving Ren empty hope is useless and won't change reality one bit. But Ren just asks if the Demon Claw organization has an internship period. He also wants to know if they pay for overtime and provide full insurance benefits. Total silence, and yeah, you and I are just as speechless as everyone on screen. Who absolutely explodes, screaming at him and asking if he's trying to be funny. He just replies that if it isn't a proper company, then he's not interested. That just makes Hu even angrier. She tells Jean to stop wasting time. Just grab the kid and bring him back. With that, Jean's hands begin to transform. They morph into two massive, sharp blades as he declares he'll deal with these. Little bastards from the Magic Defense Department first, then he lunges. He rockets toward them, blade extended, but Yue manages to block his attack. With her sword locked against his, she tells her team to leave Jean to her. They all agree, rushing toward Hu and yelling for her to surrender without a fight. After all, it's 3 against 1, but Hu just calmly asks them what they mean by 3 against 1, and trust me, you need to watch what she does next. She forms hearts with her hands, places them on the ground, and sharp objects emerge. From those hearts, monsters with blades on their backs begin to crawl out. She then gives a chilling order, peel off their skins, because she's going to make a human skin mount. Meanwhile, Yue and Jean are still locked in a fierce battle. They block and counter each other perfectly until Jean taunts her, asking if that's all she's got. Jean just scoffs, saying that's all she's got, no thrill at all, but stick with me, she's about to prove him dead wrong. She roars back that he's celebrating too soon, then melts her blood sword into pure liquid. She hurls it forward as a massive blood explosion, but Jean manages to block it. His arm blade goes up just in time, stopping him from being pushed back. He yells back, taunting her that it's just not enough. Then his blade arms morph into a set of razor-sharp claws. Meanwhile, Rainier is booking it, thinking if he'd known this would happen, he never would have taken this insane life-or-death substitute driving job. He knows Anning and Ye Yao are waiting for him, so he sprints, looking for any chance to escape. But he stops dead in his tracks, and yeah, you guessed it, Hu appears right in front of him. Her split head is back, and she launches her own face skin right at him. He screams in pure terror, yelling at Hu that he has absolutely no interest in her. His chest burns with fire, but Hu just screams back that she can't wait. She's going to swallow him whole, right here, right now. Yue shouts for her teammate Yun to protect Rainier, but Yun yells back. They're completely stuck, so Yue forcefully shoves Jean's blade aside and makes a break for it. She screams at Hu not to even think about getting in her way. But Hu is already wrapping her face around him, and Yue is still too far away. Suddenly, his demonic power activates, unleashing a huge explosion of fire. The blast destroys everything nearby. Yue can only stare in shock. Hu screams in agony, clutching her now scorched face. How is this possible? Yue knows only divine blessings can harm demons. So why can Rainier hurt them? Hu screams at Jean that the kid ruined her face. She demands they peel his skin off, telling Jean to stop messing around. Rushing toward Renji, Jean declares that anyone standing against him will die. Okay, you and I both know what's next, total chaos. He screams that he doesn't care anymore, he'll stop them all first. Yue immediately slams her hands together, casting her divine manifestation. Blood Moon Skies, a massive blood spear forms in her hands. She aims it right at Jean and lets it fly, landing a direct hit to his stomach. But Jean just grabs the spear, pulls it out, and starts laughing. He actually praises Yue's power, admitting her attacks are strong. As expected from a divine vessel, but he insists he is much, much stronger. Jean activates his own demonization, Thousand Blade Demon. Yue leaps back to make some space. She orders Yun and the others to protect Rainier while she holds the line. Jean lunges forward with his ghost blade skill, telling Yue to face her death. She counters with her blood spear, but it shatters instantly, sending her flying backward. Jean calls her pitiful, taunting that another divine vessel is about to fall. He mockingly asks if she's scared, but Yue just tells her team to hold on. Reinforcements are coming. Suddenly, Jean's claws pierce right through her stomach. He leans in and asks her what reinforcements she's talking about. Because they're never going to arrive in time. He rips his hand from her stomach, letting her fall to the ground, bleeding out. Yua's team panics, screaming her name, asking if she's okay. They start yelling, asking each other what they're supposed to do now. Where are the reinforcements, and what's happening to Rainier? Meanwhile, flames are just erupting around him. Alright, let's jump right back in. Rainier is surrounded but overhears Yua's orders to keep him safe. Someone then asks the big question, is Rainier actually a demon contractor? Inside his own mind, the demon tree has him trapped, mocking his struggle. It tells him to surrender to the will of the demon, but he refuses, confused. He knows he can't, recalling a powerful saying, the long blade ignites in flames. A fleeting brilliance where the blade reaches, even the stars bow down in salute. Outside, Jan calls Yu's teammates a bunch of ignorant fools. He rushes toward them and in one clean motion defeats them all. With a single slash of his claws, everyone is down, you can barely stand. Jan grabs Rania by the neck and lifts him up into the air. Yu asks Jan if she's right that those who are alive can't be brought back. But she argues his dead body should still count as completing their mission. Jan shoots back, asking if Rania is really the one they're looking for. If he dies this easily, he screams at Rania, demanding to know the truth. Is he a demon contractor? He provokes him, daring him to show his real power. And what happens next? Trust me, Jan was not ready for this. A massive fire explosion erupts from Rania, blasting Jan backwards. But as the smoke clears, Jan is somehow still standing. He stares into the blaze, shouting in disbelief, asking how this is possible. Rania stands there, completely transformed by his demonization. This is the Daemon of Flame. He swings his flaming sword right at Jan. Jan barely dodges the flame slash, but he can still feel the intense, searing heat. Rania calls them insignificant insects for daring to stand before him. He demands to know how they could be so arrogant in his presence. Now on the ground, Jan can't believe it. He realizes this power is familiar. This overwhelming demonic energy is something they have felt before. Yu, being helped by her team, can't believe what she's seeing. Let's be real, who could? Rania's power pushed Jan back with a single move. Rania then gathers flame in his hand, pulling both Jan and H in with its force. They panic, but then Jan suddenly realizes what this power might be. It could belong to the Demon King himself, and H confirms his horrifying theory. Rania is the exact person the tarot card had been searching for all this time. Hearing this, Yu wonders if the tarot card was really about Rania. Rania declares that enraging him means only one thing awaits them: death. He clenches his fist, and hardened flame tendrils pierce right through Jan and H. Jan, in complete desperation, calls upon the great Demon King. He shouts that their task is complete, they have finally found the one he's looking for. H, however, can only scream that she doesn't want to die. Unfortunately for them, the flames consume their flesh, slowly burning them alive. Rania watches them calmly, calling them nothing more than ants for the Tree of Demons. He then unleashes another powerful burst of flame, forcing Yu and her team away. They have to shield their faces, and when the intense heat finally subsides, Yu opens her eyes and is shocked to see Rania back in his original form as he collapses. She rushes over to him while her team anxiously asks what's happening. She says the demonization wore off, but as we both know, power like that always has a price. All right, let's jump right back in. They've got him surrounded and Yua confirms he's still breathing. One of the agents calls Rania too dangerous and asks what they should do with him. She says it's connected to the tarot card, so this is no simple cleanup job. They need to take him back to headquarters first. Her subordinate moves to carry Rania, but Yua sees his wounds are way worse than they look. She pushes him aside, saying she'll carry Rania herself. Yua then orders her teammate Yun to handle young X, and he immediately agrees. Yun says he'll call headquarters to check on their backup. But another guy scoffs that he's used to it. Reinforcements only ever show up after the fight's over. And then, oh boy, this is where it gets super awkward. Yua feels Rania's hand squeeze her chest. Absolutely furious, she drops him flat on the ground, screaming that he's a pervert. He looks up at her, practically seeing flames in her eyes, and starts to panic. He desperately asks if she'd believe him if he said it was an accident. Her only reply, calling him a dirty pervert again, even as she's yelling at him. But a part of her can't help but wonder how he recovered so fast from demonizing. His self-healing ability is off the charts, making her suspect something. The demon he made a pact with, it was definitely no ordinary one. Rania just casually gets up, saying he's got nothing else to do here and his family's waiting for dinner. As he tries to leave, Yua, still covering her chest, shouts for him to wait. She explains that for everyone's safety, it's best if he just comes back with them. But he's not having it, saying he doesn't think that's necessary at all. He swears he's not joining whatever Demon Claw organization they're a part of. Besides, he adds they barely even know each other. He starts to walk away, but before he gets 2 steps, someone materializes right in front of him. It's Yun, and from the look on his face, he is not happy at all. Rania instinctively flinches back in fear, which gives Yua the perfect opening to grab his collar. Seething, she calls him a pervert again and asks if he really thought she was giving him a choice. You and I both know she wasn't asking. Next thing you know, he's stuck in their car, screaming that he wants to file a complaint. He yells that going back with them is one thing, but he wants to know why they all ganged up on him. His protests, however, are met with total silence. They just completely ignore him. Suddenly, his mind gets dragged back to the Tree of Demons, and he's stunned. He sees the demonic spirits of Jean and Hu inside the tree, wondering what on earth is happening. Then blood starts seeping from his skin. He wonders if these two demons also expect him to feed them his blood. But he knows he can't afford that right now. His body feels like it's on fire. He screams in agony as blood and flames erupt from inside him. A second later, he snaps back to reality and accidentally lets one rip inside the car. Sweating bullets, he awkwardly says he really needs to use the restroom. And here's his master plan. He tells them he can't hold it in anymore. They pull over and escort him to a public restroom, while Yun and another guy wait right outside. Hearing a lot of noise, the agent warns that if he doesn't come out soon, they're coming in. Rania quickly replies that he's coming right now. The door opens, someone exits, but it's just an old man coughing as he walks away. The guard shouts at Renji, saying he can wait till they reach headquarters. But when Renji still doesn't come out, his partner gets suspicious. Yun wonders what's taking so long, but the old man just shuffles forward and vanishes. And just like that, Renji drops the disguise without them even noticing. Outside, the men joke around, asking if he fell into the toilet. Proud of his quick thinking, he peeks out from his hiding spot with a smirk. He taunts them, asking if they seriously thought they could catch him. Then, silent as a shadow, he slips away, leaving the two guards completely clueless. They're still standing there, threatening to break down the door if he doesn't come out. The next day, over at the Magic Defense Department. Now, watch what happens when the chief hears the news. She gets their report and absolutely explodes with rage, demanding to know how they lost him. The department chief, Shenny, admits she never saw this coming. She's stunned that Rainier was the one the tarot cards were pointing to. Stepping forward, Yue tells Shenny that she will take full responsibility for the incident. Shenny asks how she plans on doing that, ordering her to capture Rainier immediately. But Yue pleads for just one day, promising she can provide a proper explanation. Shenny agrees but gives her a final warning. She only has 24 hours. All information on Ren is now classified as top secret, a command Yue quickly accepts. Shenny then yells at them to get a move on, reminding them the clock is ticking. They snap to attention with a "yes ma'am" and immediately scramble out of the office. Once they're outside, Yun asks Yue where on earth they're supposed to find Rania. She just turns to him with a mysterious little smile. Later that night, Renji finally makes it home, exhausted and dreaming of a hot bath. But suddenly he hears shouting from inside his shop, someone threatening the Shan group. His heart drops. More trouble. You and I both know this can't be good. He bolts toward the shop, and as he gets closer, he sees men stumbling out. They're shouting that the woman inside is a total monster. One guy is missing a tooth. He says she kicked it clean out of his mouth. Then he sees Yao Yao. She's standing there with a broom, daring the thugs to come back for more. Renji is completely baffled. Yao Yao spots him and asks where he's been. He ignores the question, asking if she was the one who beat up all these guys. Nope, Yao Yao replies, explaining that it was her girlfriend who'd been waiting. This just makes him even more confused. He asks what she's talking about. Her girlfriend, then a familiar voice cuts in saying he's finally back. It's Yue waving at him casually. He asks how she possibly found this place. She says she's been here a while, but had to deal with the troublemakers first. He immediately grabs her and drags her away, saying they can't talk here. He tells her she's way too persistent for her own good. Annoyed, Anning turns to Yao Yao and remarks on how bold Rania is. He's already grown, yet he's still shy about having a girlfriend. But Yao Yao just scoffs at that, saying her brother isn't shy at all. She wonders if maybe he's just trying to run from his responsibilities. A moment later, they're standing on a rooftop, and he tells Yue to come to him directly. He warns her to never, ever involve his family in her problems again. But she just says he's misunderstanding everything, telling him to look at the beautiful night sky. He cuts right to it, asking if she really came all this way just for the view. She explains the state of their world, and trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. After a massive cataclysm, human civilization was nearly wiped from existence, giving rise to gene warriors. They battled against the monster race, the spirit race, and the blood-way demons, all while rebuilding the 33 main cities of the Great Tower. She then asks him, doesn't he want to do something for himself and his loved ones? And then comes the offer, a chance to join the Magic Defense Department. It's a path to better opportunities, a way for him to grow stronger. He admits he admires them for protecting humanity and sacrificing their lives. But he's different, his only goal is protecting his home and his family. She nods, understanding. She knows he's working hard to treat his sister's illness. Then she plays her trump card. What if the department could actually cure his sister? What if the Magic Defense Department could completely cure her? This hits him hard. He asks in disbelief if they can heal Yao's demon scar disease. He practically yells at her, convinced it's impossible. He tells her not to lie. Everyone knows suppressants are the only option. They only slow the disease down, they don't get rid of it. But she stays calm, telling him it's no lie, there is a way. A spirit medicine called lantern grass. It has the power to erase the disease completely. The Magic Defense Department is currently researching it. Stunned, he asks again if the medicine is real. He has to know for sure. She guarantees it, assuring him she would never joke about something so serious. Slamming his hand on the bar, he declares that if it can cure Yao's illness, then he's in. He will join the Magic Defense Department. You and I both knew he'd agree. She immediately accepts, promising to contact him and arrange his registration. He waves goodbye, telling her not to worry, he'll be ready when they call. As he leaves, she thinks to herself that the kid is surprisingly sly. She immediately calls Shani, reporting that Rania is officially on board. But there was one condition. When she explains what it is, Shani is furious. The suppressant she can allow, but the promise of lantern grass. She screams at her, asking if she knows how precious that stuff even is. Shani then angrily declares her team's budget for the next quarter is cut in half. And with that, she's left completely speechless. The next day, he arrives at Sea Hall, thinking it's just another normal day. But the Magic Defense Department isn't done trying to pull him in. He walks past some officers in the hallway and heads straight for his office. A colleague asks why he's so late, then excitedly says a huge problem came up. He puts his bag away, casually asking what the big deal is. His colleague then asks if he was specially scouted by the Demon Hunting Academy. That's when Rania finally spots a letter waiting for him in his locker. His friend shouts about how lucky he is, explaining that passing the test means getting in. But Rania just rolls up the paper and casually tosses it in the trash. Not interested, he says. His friend is absolutely shocked. He asks him if he's crazy, yelling at him to go there immediately. His other colleague agrees. After all, if he went to the Demon Hunting Academy, telling him he could become a professional demon hunter, but Ren just scoffs. Who cares about being a demon hunter? He says he just likes being with his friends. But that attitude changes in a split second when his colleague drops a bombshell. The commission for one single mission as a pro-demon hunter can be a few $100,000. And I know what you're thinking, yup, sometimes it's even millions. Ren immediately grabs his coworker by the collar, yelling at him to spit out the test location. A little while later, he arrives at the Seiya Officer Test Training Hall. He knows that to get into the Demon Hunting Academy, he has to pass this officer test first. He figures it won't be a big deal, then he asks Wei why there are so many candidates. Wei says he feels the same way, admitting that he heard there was a manpower shortage. Apparently, other departments are showing up trying to recruit people for themselves. The host spots Wei and asks if he's bringing in another batch of new recruits. Wei sarcastically shoots back, asking if the host would lose his job if he didn't. The host just laughs it off, not taking the bait. He then jokes that with Wei's age, he should just retire already. After all, he's just an old martial artist, not a gene warrior. What's the point of charging ahead? Wei completely ignores him and tells Ren and another guy to make him look good, which they agree to. That's when Ren spots Julie in the crowd of candidates. He wonders what on earth she could possibly be doing here. She recognizes him too and just stares. The lady she's with asks if she knows Ren, but Julie flat out denies it. A moment later, the host asks all the candidates for the motto of the sea officers. They all shout in perfect unison, "Sea ignites us to guard the city." All right, let's kick things off with a high-stakes test announced by the host. The prize, a 30,000 UN bonus for the highest total score. First up is bare-handed rope climbing, and the guy beside Renji is all talk. He claims it's his specialty, but Renji stays silent, just staring at the wall. The host gives the signal, and with a shout, the test officially begins. Immediately, the men next to him rush the ropes and start their climb. Renji is left behind for a second. He grabs the rope, jumps, and is instantly at the top. He even apologizes to the others, saying he'll be going on first. That's when his competitors spot his robotic arm and immediately start shouting. "Now I know what you're thinking," an officer is right there as they claim he's cheating. The lady next to Julie is shocked, commenting on his advanced mechanical arm. She turns to Julie and asks if this is one of her company's new models. But Julie is just speechless with rage, realizing he's actually using it. The host is stunned. He checks the rules and realizes they never banned mechanical arms. So he announces the results will stand. The climb is valid. Wei just laughs, commenting that the dirty brat finally made him proud. Renji celebrates his win, but his competitors are absolutely furious. They tell him his arrogance won't last, warning him not to get cocky. With more tests to come, they tell him to just wait and see. The host then announces the next event on the list. It's the 300-meter weighted rescue run. He explains they have to carry a rescued individual across the finish line. The key is ensuring the person's safety. Renji glances at the mannequin, thinking it's easy. His competitors quickly grab their mannequins and get a head start. As soon as the test begins, they are already rushing forward. But when Renji picks up his mannequin, it completely shatters. And yeah, you just saw that right. He curses, wondering why the dummy was so ridiculously fragile. He looks up and sees the others have already gained a massive lead. Wei yells at him, asking why he used so much strength, telling him to find a new mannequin. But the host explains that there are no extras provided. Fail to finish the run within the time limit, and it's an automatic disqualification. A woman in the crowd laughs, saying Renji is completely doomed. But then Julie notices something. Renji isn't standing still. He's running straight towards their viewing platform, catching everyone's attention. Julie is completely stunned, shouting and asking what he thinks he's doing. And get ready, because Renji leaps onto their table and sits right in front of Julie. He asks if carrying a real person to finish the race would still count. He grabs Julie's hand, making her furiously demand he let her go. He just apologizes and says he's just going to borrow her for a bit. Then he lifts her clean off her feet as she shouts in protest. He starts sprinting across the field, easily passing the other competitors. They stare in disbelief, wondering how he's carrying a real person and if it's even allowed. Julie just shuts her eyes in pure embarrassment, begging them not to look at her. From the stands, Wei bursts out laughing, absolutely loving the chaos. He shouts that Renji never fails to surprise him, as the host checks the rules again. He glances at the rulebook. Yep, carrying a real person is totally fair game. All right, stick with me, because you're about to see the wildest rescue mission ever. The scenario, a disaster-struck building, and they're the first responders. Their mission, treat the injured victims and get them out of there fast. The patient in front of them has a seriously brutal list of injuries. We're talking a crushed right leg, a penetrating wound to the abdomen, and excessive blood loss on top of being in a state of shock. The host screams, "Begin." Rania lines into Julie, "Don't be scared, I'm definitely gonna save you." She just scoffs, telling him to cut the nonsense and get on with it already. He lifts her foot, announcing that he's starting by stopping the bleeding. And since she's in shock, he says, he absolutely has to restore her heartbeat. For a second, she notices he's actually dead serious. Then he positions his hands right on her chest. She blushes, asking him what on earth he thinks he's doing. He calmly explains he's restoring her heartbeat by performing CPR. She warns him, though, if he dares press down with that hand, she will personally chop it off. He just holds her face, moving in closer to her mouth. He's not done yet. He tells her she's lost too much blood, so now he needs to perform artificial respiration. She is completely stunned, telling him whether he believes it or not she will. Beat him until he's the one who can't breathe, but he stays perfectly calm. He declares that as a sea officer, he'd never let a single life slip away on his watch. Fed up, she sits and tells him if he keeps up this nonsense, she's walking. And when the time comes for him to fail this test, he better not dare blame her. He's surprised but agrees. Then he asks her a question, and trust me, it's pure genius. She followed procedure to the letter, so nobody could argue with the results later on. They were all back in the training hall as the host announced that every assessment was done. He added that the overall performance of this batch of candidates was impressive. But just as he was about to announce the final results, something happened. A piercing emergency alarm blared through the hall, shocking everyone. Trust me, this is no drill. They all knew it was a major demonic disaster alert. Was this just a hidden test? Nope. Wei rushes in, shouting at the top of his lungs. A massive demonic disaster has just broken out in District 49. The disaster's level is still unknown, but its range is absolutely huge. Wei calls Team 7. He gives the order to move out immediately, and they all respond without hesitation. Shouting their team's motto, they move out. Meanwhile, in District 49, it's pure chaos. Buildings are crumbling to dust as a man screams at his team to fall back. He's yelling that it's an undead dog as they scramble for their truck. Just in the nick of time, reinforcements finally show up. The man shouts out to Wei. He's here at last. Wei calls the man Ma and demands a quick situation report. Ma explains it's a G-level demon disaster, with the potential to escalate fast. It could hit F level, involving 4th-ranked undead dog demons, but the number is unknown. Everyone is stunned, a 4th-ranked demon right off the bat. But Renji has no clue what that means and asks if they're really that strong. Now listen closely, because Ma explains just how nightmarish these things really are. The undead dogs have insane regeneration. Any severed piece of flesh just grows into a new dog. He also says each of its heads has a completely different ability, making them terrifyingly powerful. Wei understands the gravity of the situation and asks if the Magic Defense Department has arrived. Ma replies that he hasn't seen them yet, so he focused on evacuating the wounded first. Wei praises Ma for the smart call and tells him he made the right choice. He orders him to get to the medical area quickly and leave the rest to them. Wei then turns to his team, telling them the situation inside is a complete unknown. Because of that, they'll work in pairs. If they find any trapped civilians, they are not to engage. Instead, they need to report their position immediately and wait for rescue. He warns them not to try and be a hero. Prioritize your own survival above all. He asks if they heard him, and they all shout a firm yes. Then Wei smacks Renji on the head. You and I both know exactly who that last warning was for. He asks if Renji was listening. If you get yourself killed again, he warns, you won't be lucky enough to survive, Renji replies. With a simple yes, telling Wei not to worry, suddenly another explosion erupts. Right in front of them, and from the smoke, a demonic figure starts to emerge. There's no mistaking it, it's the undead dog, and it's coming right for them. Wei immediately orders everyone to retreat and hide, but the dog rushes in to chase them down. One of them gets dangerously close to Wei, opening its massive jaws ready to bite down. It's about to take his head clean off, but at the last second, Renji slashes its head off just in time. He finishes it off with his flame power, revealing his robotic arm and a body wreathed in fire. His colleagues are relieved it was him. Renji then turns to face the undead dog king. Wei screams at him to run away, yelling that he doesn't want to pull him from a crematorium again. But Renji just smirks, and trust me, what he says next is absolutely legendary. He tells Wei to leave this place to him and to lead the others to rescue people. Then he teasingly addresses the undead dog, saying that in front of him it was, calling him trash and telling him to shake its hand like a dog. But stick with me, this undead mutt bites back, opening its jaws to devour him. Renji yells back that it's rude, then leaps away to dodge the attack. He activates his flame demon ghost blade, and in one clean slash, splits the undead dog's head clean in two, pointing his sword at the remains. His teammates can't believe their eyes, completely stunned by what just happened. They wonder if this is the same weak Renji they knew, asking if he actually killed it. But Wei shouts out, warning him to be careful, that it's not over yet. Renji just screams for them to get back, knowing what's coming next. And just like that, the undead dog's body starts to regenerate. Now pay attention because it grows 2 heads instead of 1. Not even cutting off its head can stop this thing's insane regeneration. One of the heads lunges, but he barely manages to block it with his sword. He screams at the monster, promising to turn it into mincemeat. Let's see it try to regenerate from that. He unleashes all the power in his body. Activating his blazing 1,000 blades, he slices at the head closest to him. Leaping into the air, he yells that he's chopping it into minced dog meat. Moving at insane speeds, he slashes the creature over and over again. Bits and pieces of it rain down onto the ground. Yua, watching from above, is impressed. She finally understands why the academy was so desperate to recruit him. She figures Renji's finally learned to control that demonic power inside of him. I know, right? About time the backup showed up, she jumps down with her team. Renji spots Yua and her 2 men descending, and sarcastically asks them why the Magic Defense Department is always showing up fashionably late. He even tells her to ask the chief for a raise, but she's not having it. She just reminds him that he's also a member of the Magic Defense Department. He scoffs, telling her to leave him out of it since he hasn't officially joined. Not until they give him exactly what he wants anyway. Classic MC move. Suddenly Yua screams for her teammate Muchin to watch out, the dog is back. The pieces are regenerating again. She asks if he's ready and he says he is. He's moving as fast as he can and yells back for her to cover him. Muchin starts casting a powerful spell, releasing his magic onto the remains. But it's too late, the pieces of the dog don't just reform. They regenerate into a whole pack of new undead dogs, all lunging at Renji. He doesn't hesitate, instantly unleashing his demonic power in a huge wave of fire. The blast shatters all the new dogs into tiny pieces once again. He just laughs, daring them to try and come at him again, but Yua gets it. These things have infinite regeneration. Brute force isn't going to work. They can only be stopped with a powerful magical technique, so she calls out to Muchin. He replies that he's ready, his eyes snap open, power gathering around him. He unleashes his spell, and its energy washes over the entire battlefield. His curse of the witch god lifts every single piece of undead into the air. Even Renji looks up, amazed at the sheer scale of this magic technique. And you and I are about to see Muchin end this, one explosion at a time. The remains rain down, but this time the undead dogs don't get back up. Alright, they're celebrating a hard-won victory, but you and I are about to see who's really pulling the strings. Watching from high above is the Ghost King himself, radiating a dark and powerful energy. A man at his side comments that the whole demon disaster played out perfectly. Especially with that undead dog causing so much chaos, the Ghost King Liwasu turns to him. He says it was all thanks to some brute who acted as bait, then asks a question. Is the list ready? The man confirms they've gathered every single name. All the demon contractors in Jin Chung, the newly awakened genetic warriors, and even a few individuals with other special abilities. Liwasu praises him for a job well done. He takes the list and starts scanning the names one by one, and then he pauses. He finds our boy Ren to be rather interesting. Meanwhile, on the ground, Ren is busy. He's absorbing all the anguish, fear, and raw emotion from the people around him. Let that sink in for a second. He's using human suffering to feed the tree of demons. A little while later, the fires are out, and the long work of rebuilding the city begins. Doctors are tending to the wounded. Ren walks over and sees Wei sitting by himself. He knows Wei's been an officer for years, and he's seen countless lives lost. But even after all this time, the aftermath of a demonic disaster never gets any easier. It's just hard to stay calm. Wei admits that's just part of the job for an officer. And in their line of work, very few of them ever get a peaceful death. Ren approaches him. How are you holding up? The question startles Wei, who coughs before saying his old bones aren't broken just yet. He then gives Ren some advice. Leave this life, go to the demon hunting academy, study hard, and become a true demon suppressor. That's where he belongs. He would have a much better shot at a real future, but Ren questions this. Wouldn't it be better to just stay an officer and save people directly from these disasters? Wei calls him a fool. He says it doesn't matter how many people they save here. It will never be enough. Being an officer can't actually prevent these disasters from happening. But if Ren became a demon suppressor, he could hunt the demons down himself. He could stop these demonic disasters right at their source, and that, he says, is way more meaningful than just being an officer. Ren listens, then tells Wei something. There's a question he's always wanted to ask him. Wei's expression darkens. Is this about the Jinan grade A demonic disaster from 10 years ago? Now pay attention. Wei says it's a memory. He'd much rather forget, but still he begins to explain what happened 10 years ago. Creatures from the Denon demon realm poured into Doxia, destroying cities one by one. After another, he suddenly stops. Why are you bringing this up now? After all this time, Ren replies that the disaster has an important connection to his life. Something he has been trying to figure out for a long time. Wei sees it in his eyes. That serious expression, what's going on, but Ren just says it's nothing. Just curious, he waves goodbye to Wei, saying he's going to head out now. As he leaves, Wei shouts after him, reminding him not to forget his advice. Don't forget about the Demon Hunting Academy. Ren just says he'll consider it. Then he shouts back, reminding Wei not to forget something important himself. Apply for his bonus. He rescued 341 people, which should earn him 68,276 yuan. Just then his phone rings. It's Yue. She tells him to come to the Magic Defense Department tomorrow morning. The chief wants to see him. But he refuses, saying they still haven't given him what he wants, so Yue sweetens the deal. Come in person and he'll get 3 Haxing Demon Scar Suppressors. Trust me, you'll want to see what he does. Pills, a portable dialysis machine, and even a green card from Jinan Shenu General Hospital. And free medical care on top of it all. He immediately calls Princess Yue. He asks to meet at 8 in the morning, apologizing for provoking her before. He even offers to let her whip him mercilessly as punishment tomorrow. She just hangs up, probably thinking Rania is completely nuts. The next morning, he shows up at the location Yue sent him. He walks into a corner, double-checks the address, and hopes he's not being pranked. This place definitely doesn't scream headquarters of the Magic Defense Department. As he wanders down a quiet street, a voice tells him he's right on time. He turns around and is so shocked his nose literally starts bleeding. Because Yue is just standing there in nothing but her bra and underwear. She asks him what in the world is wrong with him as he apologizes. But then says it would be disrespectful to look away just because of her outfit. She calls him a weirdo and tells him to follow her. The headquarters is close. He trails behind her, asking if she always dresses this casually. And more importantly, if she isn't freezing. She just scoffs. How could anyone possibly be cold in the middle of summer? Stop talking nonsense. He shuts up, but then asks why he can't see the headquarters anywhere. She explains that the real Magic Defense headquarters is built underground. All the branches you see on the surface are basically just fake offices. They're meant to fool people, but he points out that this is clearly a garbage dump. Yue simply touches the wall next to all the trash and gives it a push. Revealing a hidden elevator, Rania is absolutely stunned. She steps inside and asks if he's just going to stand there staring. Still completely speechless, he follows her into the elevator. As he steps inside, he can't help but glance over her assets. He says he understands the underground base, but is her outfit also part of the disguise? She's totally confused and asks him what he's talking about. He asks if the department doesn't have any rules about a dress code. She tells him there are no strict rules, so everyone wears whatever they want. He covers himself, muttering that a big company like this is truly impressive. So innovative, at first glance he thinks working here might actually be great. But wow, he had no idea Yue was this open-minded. The elevator doors open and Yue walks out, announcing that they've arrived. But as he steps out, trust me, what he sees next is absolutely insane. Every single person in the massive headquarters is wearing only their underwear. Rania is speechless. He's starting to think this place is a little too magical. He suddenly remembers working part-time as a dancer at a club once. And he realizes he actually wore more clothes there than everyone here combined. Is this just normal company culture? He's completely bewildered. Yue notices him just staring into space and asks what he's gawking at. She tells him not to keep the department chief waiting, and he quickly snaps out of it. Right, he needs to fit in, he needs to integrate into the group culture, fast. He tells her to hold on for a second and then starts taking off his clothes. Yua panics, asking what he's doing, but he just calmly tells her not to worry, he's almost done. And then, thinking this was totally normal, he dropped his pants, showing off his pink boxers. His logic: to understand company culture, you have to become company culture. Yue just stared, completely shocked. He just laughed proudly, telling her he didn't feel so out of place anymore. All the other employees, who were dressed perfectly normally, were just baffled. They wondered what was wrong with his brain, where he came from, and why he was stripping. In seconds, the entire office burst into laughter, calling him a pervert and a streaker. People started recording as Yue finally rushed over to him. She demanded to know what was wrong with him, but he just shrugged it off like it was nothing. He explained that wearing clothes felt weird here, but now he felt way better and was ready to go. Yue just facepalmed, completely speechless at this level of dumb. Deciding to just get it over with, she moved on and rang the chief's doorbell. Shanxi told them to enter, and they walked right into her office. Yue announced that Rena had arrived, and Shanxi, who was sitting, shot up in total shock. But Rena was just as surprised, because he never expected even the minister to be dressed like this. Now pay attention here, because he noticed that Shanxi had an absolutely insane figure. He saw her wearing only a black bra and underwear, with a tattoo right on the side of her stomach. Shanxi asked Yue if they had searched him, but she admitted they hadn't. Hearing that, Shanxi just commented that young people these days are seriously open-minded. She then told Yue to leave, saying she needed to speak with Rena alone. Yue understood completely and quickly took her leave. Shanxi greeted him with a smile, walking closer as she introduced herself. She said her name was Minister Shanxi, then asked if Yue had briefed him on the situation. But he was dead silent, his eyes locked directly onto her chest. Shanxi noticed his stare and asked him point-blank what he was looking at. He snapped out of it, quickly saying her tattoo looked really nice, but she just looked confused. "What tattoo?" she asked, and hearing that, he started stuttering, saying it was nothing. But he was sure he saw it, it was definitely there. He started wondering if something was wrong with his eyes, and then a horrifying thought hit him. What if they had been wearing clothes this entire time? Just then he felt something rising inside him, forming right next to the demon tree. I know what you're thinking, and yes, he's unlocking a new power at the worst possible time. He saw its leaves release some kind of liquid, and instantly realized it was the gene serum. The same stuff they injected into him back at Sea Hall. Did this mean the genes were awakening? He reached out and touched the delusion tree, and suddenly the Eye of Delusion activated. He wondered if this was it, a brand new genetic skill he just unlocked. A power that let him see through things, and then it all clicked into place. This had nothing to do with company culture, they were all wearing clothes. Shanxi asked what was wrong with him, snapping him back to reality with a jolt. He realized he had just stripped down in front of everyone on his first day. Worse, he had walked across the entire Magic Defense Department hall in nothing but his underwear. Utterly horrified, he screamed in panic, trying to cover himself up. You and I just witnessed a level of second-hand embarrassment that is off the charts. Shanxi stared at him, bewildered, as Yue rushed back inside asking what was going on. But before he could even try to explain, he let out a massive sneeze. Then he started yelling for them to turn off the AC because it was way too cold. All right, let's see how our boy tries to talk his way out of this one. Shani hands him a gift. A token of sincerity from the Magic Defense Department, she explains. She reassures him they don't care about his status as a demon contractor, and that he should join them. With their resources, his potential would be through the roof. He takes the gift but immediately gets down to business. Asking where the lantern grass they promised him is, Shani tells him they've already got someone on it. They sent a team to the Denon demonic realm to retrieve it. And they should be back any minute now, so no need to worry. He's not convinced though. He asks if the Magic Defense Department really sent all these people and resources just to recruit some low-level sea officer with no actual power. Shani tells him it's not just because he's a demon contractor, he's special. And you can probably guess why. He pulls out his pendant, asking if this is the reason. Shani just tells him he already knows the answer to that question. He bluntly says he doesn't trust their department and has no interest in getting dragged into their drama. So Shenny hits him with a hard question. Does he have any idea how terrifying things will get if his demon engraving is exposed? He fires back that this is exactly why he wants nothing to do with it. He'll even trade it back for 5 lantern grass or 3 if that's asking too much. But Shenny just laughs in his face, telling him it's not that simple, not at all. She explains that the demon engraving has already completely fused with his body. Unless he dies, that thing is a part of him now. He's shocked. Does this mean he's just doomed? Shenny tells him if he wants any chance of survival, he has to join the Magic Defense Department. He asks if he even has a choice. She just turns the question back on him. What does he think? She lays it all out. Joining their department is his only way to survive. He needs to let all of Great Zia become his shield, drive out the demons, and become a real hero among men. Then she flicks something at him, and it latches right onto his ear. And that's our cliffhanger. Trust me, you're gonna want to see what happens next.